Hello again everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another speed build video in The Sims 4. I hope you're all having the most amazing day ever so far and thank you so much for joining me here today. We are still on our Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature kick, shall we call it? A couple of days ago uploaded my first build to the channel and you all seem to really enjoy it. I really enjoyed building it and I've seen these hobbit houses kicking about. Now I am absolutely not the first creator to come up with this concept. These were even briefly shown, I believe, in the trailer. And so I was like, okay, let's see if this is something that I can pull off. Now, I went into this with really no plan. I had no reference images to work from. All I knew was that, okay, there's two things here. I wanted to build like more than one hobbit house on the lot. Now, my vision for this was to have like 3 different families living in 3 of these houses, just because we can do that now. However, my plan quickly changed when I realized that these houses are so tiny that basically I've had to like split a house over 3 different houses. So what I mean by that is this house that we're working on currently here ends up being the kitchen, dining and living room. This one here that we're now working on is the bedroom, and then the one down at the very bottom is the bathroom, which I don't know if that's good for gameplay. I don't know if that's something that's going to put you off downloading these. But it's really the only way, especially on a lot of this size, because this is only a 30 by 30 lot, and I wanted to fill every inch of this lot. That was my goal with this, was to fill every inch of it. But yeah, I'm really not sure if this was the way to go. It's the way that I went with it. Because I think I touched upon this in my first video, and I said something along the lines of when you are creating occult themed builds, it's kind of nice because they don't need to make much sense because they're occult builds. They're builds that you wouldn't see in the real world. So I think you have like this creative freedom to really create something that, whilst it doesn't make sense, it can just be really magical and really whimsical. So that's when I stopped thinking, oh well, this doesn't make sense. Well, no, of course it doesn't make sense. These are for like hobbits or fairies or like whatever sort of occult you want to put in these, I say in these houses. Basically it's a dismantled house on one lot is what it is, but I think this could be really fun to play out some sort of gameplay depending on what sort of occult you want to put on this lot. But anyway, yes, shapes coming together really nicely. I didn't think it was going to be as easy as it was to create like the hobbit house shape. I know that I don't know whether I've said this earlier in this voiceover. Oh dear me, I'm cooking in this office, it's so warm. But anyway, in the trailer for The Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature, I think they briefly showed like a little hobbit house that someone had built, and I remember, and I know that I wasn't the only one that thought this, because a lot of people went online and sort of said, oh my goodness, are they giving us the ability to create somehow? Obviously we can create hobbit houses, it's like I'm doing it right now, but are they giving us like new roof pieces or like new decor pieces to allow us to actually create these shapes? No, they didn't. This is simply just done with the tools that we already have in game. I will say that I did find it so much easier to create these with the items at my disposal within Enchanted by Nature itself. And while we're on the topic of that, actually, when I uploaded this to the gallery, I shocked myself, honestly, because at this point I didn't get super early access to the pack. I got regular early access, but when this video is going up and when I built these, the pack was already released worldwide. I don't know why I'm mentioning that, but what I'm going to say is when I uploaded this to the gallery, it tells you which packs you've used so that people who download the build can see which packs are required for the build. I used Enchanted by Nature, Businesses and Hobbies, Cottage Living, Cats and Dogs, and Dine Out. They're the only packs that are required. for this build. And I was like, I didn't even do that on purpose. Genuinely, I did not do that on purpose with this lot. And I was so surprised by that, honestly. I was just like, when I uploaded it to the gallery, I thought, that must be a mistake. It has to be. But I don't think the gallery would lie about something like that. You know, doesn't seem like that sort of person. So yeah, I was really surprised. I honestly was. So this is a restricted pack build. Whilst it wasn't intentional, it's still very nice to say because I don't do them often enough on the channel. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I do not do restricted pack builds often enough on the channel, whether it's just a base game build or whether it's base game plus like 2 expansion packs in a game pack or whatever. I don't do it enough. So I'm not going to count this one, not to worry. I do need to start being a little bit more aware of the packs that I use, not for every single build, but definitely for like the odd one. So yeah, anyway, now we're working on the third house, well, the third room. I'm going to call them rooms, actually. These are the rooms. As I said earlier, this is a dismantled house. I think that's the best way of describing it, to be completely honest. But yeah, so this one ends up being the bathroom. The second one up is the bedroom. And then again, the one at the top is the kitchen and dining space. Now, I did play test this build before I uploaded it to the gallery, but I did have to make some minor changes. And they're probably changes that you wouldn't likely notice with the naked eye. I'm just being completely honest here. Such as, I didn't need to change any of the terrain manipulation. It was basically, and I did talk about this in my previous build as well, your Sims have routing issues with, you see, so the door on the top one, and to be fair on the second one there, I put like this really beautiful, it's not wisteria, I can't remember what those flowers are called, but if you put them too close to the door, your Sims cannot access the door. So while I was playtesting it, my Sim had trouble entering every single one of these rooms apart from the second one, just this one here. So they couldn't get into the bathroom and they could not get into the kitchen and living room either. So that did mean, unfortunately, I had to readjust some of the placement. I had to readjust some of the sizing of the foliage as well. But again, with the naked eye, it's likely something that you wouldn't even notice had I not pointed it out. So just know, if you download this from the gallery, it has been fully play tested. And obviously, if you download through SimFileShare for the tray files as well, they are essentially taken from the gallery. So that also works too. Now, I'm really liking how these are looking at the moment, but these really start to come to life when I begin landscaping the entire lot. I am missing Tool. I am missing my better build buy as well. Sorry. As far as I understand, they have not been updated as of yet. I know that when expansion packs are brought out, they tend to break temporarily the mods, and while we wait for a fix, we've just got to ride it out. The people that work on these mods are so hardworking and they are doing their absolute best, so I'm just waiting patiently. But I am very much missing Tool and better build buy as well, because when you're messing around with terrain manipulation in The Sims 4, if you are using landscaping, pretty much any landscaping to be fair, but particularly landscaping from debug, it does float. Now, I do understand why this happens, but it's just super frustrating. There's certain pieces that you can pull out that you know will kind of just sink into the terrain manipulation. So for example, I end up pulling out some rocks from the debug menu from Cats and Dogs. They're tried, tested and true, not only by me but by others within the building community in The Sims 4 as well, and we are always just like, yes, they're definitely the go-to ones, at least for me, and I know a couple of other builders. So at the very least, by the way, I'm whatever. Oh yeah, another rambly voiceover by Rachel. Oh dear me. Anyway, so yes, we do start pulling them out relatively soon, I think. I definitely worked on the exterior of this lot more so than I did the interior, because you'll see when we move on to like decorating and sort of fleshing out the interiors for each of these little rooms, you'll see that they're really not as big as you would think. To be honest, and do you know what? I almost did not add this third little room down here, this one that we're working on now. If I had not have added this, there wouldn't have been a bathroom on this lot, which I don't think it would have been a problem necessarily, because there's certain things that you can add to the lot that can facilitate the toilet requirements for your Sims. But yeah, I feel like that would have been a little bit of a problem. Now, I'm going to have another teeny little rant here. As much as I adore the fact that we are now able to place foliage on top of roofs, and I know I'm not the only person who is thinking this or who is thinking this. That's what I said, right? Anyway, whatever. The placement of where you are able to add some of these items, it's very frustrating. Even if you have move objects on, it doesn't allow full free placement on the roofs. Now, this might not be a fair statement to say, especially when I'm working on a build such as this, because the roof pieces they're not the most forgiving roof pieces, but I did find it as well with my previous build where I had more sort of roof space to work with. Oh my god, it was so frustrating. Like, you can only put it in certain places. It just seems a little bit weird to me. And I know that this is like a brand new feature that's been added to The Sims 4, and I for one, I'm super grateful for it. And I have no doubt in my mind that this will change and evolve over time, and we'll look back on this and we'll think, oh my goodness, can you remember when we only had certain snapping points on roofs? I'm hoping that that's the case. Anyway, what I ended up doing was pulling out a few items from debug and placing them on the roof just to kind of flesh out where I thought there would be foliage on the roofs, because the way it was snapping, it just didn't look very natural to me. And because the whole point of these little houses is basically that they're supposed to blend into the landscaping, you're supposed to be able to make them out, like you can see that they're little houses, but they're supposed to blend into the world itself. And in order to do that, I think you need to add as much landscaping and whatever as possible to help make that happen. So I did end up pulling out some debug landscaping. I did test and check to see if they disappear when like you put the roofs down and the walls half up and half down for gameplay, and they do. So they're not just going to stay floating there and get in your way while you are playing. That was very important to me. So yes, anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. This is where I start bringing out the tried, trusted and true debug rocks from Cats and Dogs. Can you see how they just sort of sink into the terrain manipulation? Like, hello. I don't know what I would have done if I did not have access to these, in all honesty. Like, look how good they look, and look how well they're just blending themselves into the entire build, and they just really elevate it and just give it that little bit of detailing that I think it was missing. And I was thrilled that I remembered to use these. And I'm telling you, like, the reason that I remembered to use these was because I used them. I did a build about a week ago now where I played around with the new glass wallpaper, as it were, quote unquote, and I built like a modern glass beach house, and I used these rocks outside as well. And I just remember thinking, oh, these just sink so beautifully into, like, they're just perfect. They're absolutely perfect. So I knew I was going to use them within this build as well, and it just really helps it make the whole sort of lot look a little bit more natural, blends into the landscaping a little bit better, because there are various rocks you can see just in the background here. Now, I didn't actually try using any of the rocks from Enchanted by Nature. I don't know if they would sort of sink into the terrain manipulation as well as the ones from Cats and Dogs, so I can't speak for them. But I did use a lot of debug landscaping from Enchanted by Nature because I really wanted, again, this lot to just sort of blend in. You can see how it is doing exactly that right now. I'm quite pleased with how this lot looks overall, and I am quite happy to have jumped on the little Hobbit house bandwagon for sure. So you'll have to let me know what you think of this one, because this is a little bit outside of my comfort zone. I do enjoy building occult houses and just like things for occults, because I think it really tests my creativity, as it were. So I do really, really enjoy it, but not necessarily something that I would want to build like consistently, you know, like this is nice at the moment because it's still a new pack and people are wanting builds for their fairies that they're creating and things like that. I don't know whether it'll just be like a little phase for me. So I'm having a really good time now. So that's the main thing. But yeah, we are almost finished with the exterior here. I just add some little planter boxes just down at the bottom there so your fairies can, or hobbits, or just regular Sims if they want to move in here so they can plant some fruits and trees and things like that. And then the first room that we work on is the bathroom here. I don't think I used anything in here other than everything from Enchanted by Nature because we did get a new bathroom set with this pack, which I was actually really, really pleased with. And something else to note as well. So each of the rooms on the exterior have their own colour scheme. So this one, for example, has more of like a blue tint. The bedroom has like an orangey green tint, and then up at the top there's like dark woods with reds. I wanted to bring that into the inside of each of these rooms as well with the decor, so you'll see that each room very loosely has its own colour scheme as well, which I thought was really nice and just added that touch of whimsy as it were. So yeah, that's the bathroom pretty much done. It's a relatively small space, so I think I utilized every square that I could. And then we move on to the bedroom here. I did decide to add a little bassinet in here because we did get a new bassinet with The Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature, which I could not resist using it. So I thought perhaps the Sims that live here are either expecting or they've just had their first baby. So I thought that was really, really sweet. And there's definitely room to expand upon these little hobbit houses as well. So you could build like upper floors, you could build perhaps a couple more of them, you could move it to a slightly bigger lot and just do whatever you want to do, really. I've always said, if you want to make any changes to my builds, then you are absolutely free to do so. But this is kind of what I had in mind for this, was just a couple who are, like I said, either expecting or they have just had their first baby. I thought that was really cute. And like I said, I could not resist using that little bassinet because look at it. It is so cute. And I love the way this bedroom came together, actually. I love the fact that the colour scheme matches the colour scheme on the exterior of this little room as well. It all just works. and I love it when things like that come together, so I absolutely adore how that looked. And then we move on to the final room here, which is the living, dining and kitchen room. That sounds really weird, right? But yeah, that is essentially what this room is. Now, I did decide to put the big sofa on a bit of an angle here just because I think your Sims would have had problems navigating down the left-hand side or the right-hand side of it. And again, because it's an occult build, I think that anything quirky that you can do just adds to the charm, adds to the whimsy, and adds to the overall effect. So yes, this is the last one that we work on, and then we need to wrap up, actually. So I should probably start doing that now. But yeah, I really hope you've enjoyed this. I've absolutely enjoyed building this so much, so I hope that you and your Sims have just as much fun in it as I did building it. But if you would like to download this build, it is available from the gallery right now. My origin ID is RachelPedd. Tray files, as always, are linked down in the description box just below. You can get them from Sim File Share. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining me here today. I really hope you enjoyed this, honestly. I really do. But you all take care, and I will see you all again very, very soon. Bye!